Okay, folks, welcome back to more Donkey Kong Country 3. So, yeah, virtually, we're gonna finish up World 1 in this episode, and then we'll head into the next one. So, yeah, basically, something I do like about this, at least particular game, is that it kind of showcases more than one type of world for a certain stage. Like, most of the time, it's kind of random for an ice world to be at the very beginning, and if it is, it's usually the main theme, but it's kind of different to have like kind of juxtaposing themes in a world where you have like a lake shore where you're actually at a lake where there's water, but then for there to randomly be a snow world in there also. So it's kind of, that was kind of an interesting spark for that to happen. I think that this game kind of does that at times, or it tries to like do dual or at least juggle multiple stage themes to where you don't have to go to the snow world specifically to see snow, and the lava world specifically to see lava and such. But this is kind of a low-key, I don't know, folks, if you're not too much, I mean, it's just kind of an extra thing to notice. So, but yeah, I mean, this is World 1, and this world's already pissing me off. Or at least kind of giving me gripes. That's kind of the situation there, but... so yeah, it even starts snowing throughout this stage. And luckily it's not as bad as it was in Donkey Kong Country 1. I think that got a fair amount of complaints, that people said that the ones in Gorilla Glaciers were probably just not the most emphatically... I mean, it was pretty that it did it. It was definitely neat that it did it, but it just kind of made it a real bastard to kind of navigate. So, I haven't seen this guy. I mean, really, I haven't looked enough for this character. I need to get more of those Donkey Kong coins, because, I mean, that's going to contribute to being able to see more stages in this game. So, there's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of stuff to do here. Like, you have to get the banana birds, you have to get the Donkey Kong coins, and you have to get the bonus barrels. There's a number that has more stuff to collect than the second and the first one. Plus, not only do you have to do the bonus stages, but you have to win them. So there's a lot of stuff. This is by far, like, the most... This is kind of why, like, the developer behind this series kind of started to be seen as, like, a collect-a-thon developer, just because they give you, like, you got your bullet points that you have to do, so... But, like this, yeah, you'll get the idea, so. But yeah, so we're still seeing these Millhouse stages, and, yeah, there's, like, they start incorporating other things into them, so it's clever enough. It is original in the sense, because it's kind of an awkward sense of thinking for a stage to be depicted, considering that there's no humans. You'd think this would be a good stage for like someone like Mario to go through, or one of those characters, Mario or Luigi, some of them. But, and keep in mind that the elephant, because elephants are apparently afraid of mice, I would have to say that you don't want to be in the light when the mice are around, because you cannot progress. The game just automatically makes the elephant run from the mice, so... yeah, try to take out the or they're actually rats, but you get the idea. Same difference. Trying to think of what else I want to do in recent kind of gestures and such. Maybe just trying to configure as far as what to do. I've got some donuts next to me. I've still got a couple left, but I don't want to eat too much junk food. But hungry, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna have today. So it's kind of... But yeah, so this is basically takes the footing as the new side project for now. I mean, I've got another project on the way, so I'm gonna have like 2 side projects, but just to kind of say, lots of Super Nintendo stuff. I would like to put some more PlayStation stuff in the mix, but these games are just really kind of at my throat in recent times. It just kind of feels like it's kind of a remark about it. The cat wants to spend some time, but we'll do that in a little bit. We're only 4.5 minutes into the project, so just going to have to really kind of configure, what am I trying to say here? Yeah, me just trying to figure out what sort of PlayStation games I want to do, because I'm almost tempted to fire up Crash Bandicoot Warped, but I really don't want to play that and then just have another game that I just can't get anywhere in. So I mean, I don't want to say I got by on the skin of my teeth with Crash Team Racing, but it was not as pleasant as I would have liked it to have been. So it's just kind of... I mean, at least some of these games, for some reason, these Super Nintendo games, even if they were only rentals that I had at one strange point, I still feel somewhat more comfort in doing these than I do. And that's the thing, I like the DualShock controller. It's a nice remote to handle, but I kind of feel like for some reason it's just pretty much the gameplay that I would have to say that contributes. I mean, it's just usually the learning curve just increases drastically. It goes from an easy stage 2 or a relatively easy stage 3 to like stage 4, which is just a nightmare. And that's what happened with Jackie Chan, and that's what happened with Tomb Raider. And with Tomb Raider, it was the second stage in the damn game. So this is kind of like, come on now. I don't feel like, I mean, if there's 30 stages in a game, you should not be getting a game over in the second stage. I mean, obviously the handling behind that is just like, come on. I mean, I think the ramp up, it's one thing to make it to like stage 16 or 17 out of 30 and say, okay, that's as far as I got. But when it's like stage 2, it's like, come on now, there's something wrong with that. There's just, at least get your money's worth for all the people who buy this game and then lose that automatically. It's like, well, that's a waste of $40 or $50, you know. I don't know, a video game. I mean, video games have somewhat gotten easier since like the PS2, Xbox 360, but you know, back in the 90s and 80s even, it was just like, if you could not beat stage 2, you just lost 50 bones. That's kind of the thing. Kind of a cool boss, Belcha. You know, it's interesting. It fits like the gross theme of like the Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy type, a character that burps for a living. You know, Belcha. Really, I mean, a couple adamant hits and it doesn't even take twice. It barely takes twice to knock him down. That's pretty effectively a simplistic boss, but it's clever. I mean, it's definitely original. I mean, they could have just made you bounce on his head and take him out, but they decided to have something else to kind of do, so it's interesting. I mean, this is what I talk about. I think I said this in part 1, but the concept behind the cleverness of this game is just the fact that they try new tricks for the series. I mean, they could have just had every character where you hop on their head and that type of stuff, and the stage ratio and all that, but it basically... they try new tricks, so it's just kind of, I felt like if there had actually been a Donkey Kong Country 4, I think it probably would have had enough room to have breathed. I think that's the word, breathe. It's not a word you use too much. It'd have enough room to breathe, just because, you know, they just showing off the tricks that they did in this game. I'm sure they could have had plenty more that they could have unveiled for the next go around with this. That's just kind of the thing. But yeah, we're already done with World 1, and it's time to head to World 2. And then keep in mind that in order to get to new areas, if you're not at least somewhat trying to collect the bonuses, you may not be able to progress. So you have to at least somewhat convey interest in like doing some of the extracurricular stuff, because we're gonna have to, you know, because this is a world map. And the thing about it is there's rocks and other terrain that make it difficult to get to other areas. So Funky Kong, our main man Funky Kong, is going to help us out, but he has to be able to have the equipment to build the devices for that. So this is kind of a thing there. So, but we'll see how it goes. So there's these bear characters. I didn't show them in this episode, but there was a bear character in World 1 that was on an island, and he wants a particular item, but we're not going to be able to get to it yet. I think we're pretty much going to have to, I suspect we're going to have to fight the boss character of World 2, because these characters do hold key items, and that's going to be, you know, partial to this. So but I mean, for the most part, I think I can sail through this game. Reflecting on it now, I think I could pretty much sail through this game. It's just kind of the concept of whether or not, the later worlds are going to piss me off. I think from what I remember, if I could do this when I was 8, I definitely think I should be able to do it at age 33. But, yeah, this is kind of the concept. I mean, really, I mean, yeah, my skill has not slipped in terms of, like, the Super Nintendo. That's one machine that I can still play today. It's just kind of the concept that I just, hopefully I'm not phasing out to that degree with video games. I can't even do the two-dimensional, because I really, I tried playing a Nintendo 64 in the past few years, and I'm just not as good with it as I used to be. That's the thing. I mean, I somewhat wonder if I could even do games like Super Smash Bros. Anymore, or those type games. This is kinda, it's like, hell, I mean, I just did not adjust well in my later years to the Nintendo 64. But the Super Nintendo is just fine, but it's just kind of like, So, kind of the situation, something to pay attention to. But yeah, I've adjusted fine to the PlayStation 1, supposing I can actually beat the damn games. I mean, it's just they keep bringing out these nefarious tricks. That's the thing, I mean, the PlayStation is not developed by Nintendo. Nintendo, for some reason, was adamant somewhat about making sure that the games were not too tough. I mean, really, most standard people can beat Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda, but when you look at a game like Crash Bandicoot is just tougher than Mario. It's just the way it is, because Naughty Dog doesn't have that same kind of betting that, like, Nintendo has. And it's the same thing with, like, games. Even, I would say, kid 3D games, like Spyro the Dragon or something, they still feel tougher than, like, Zelda and, like Donkey Kong and those type games. So it's just kind of like, hell, Tomba's pretty tough, or I don't know if it's pretty tough, but I would wonder about it. It's the same thing with Rayman and the rest of those games that came out for the PlayStation 1. So this kind of makes you curious, but you say, just belt through it and be a man. Get your ass beat in video games, stop caring. But it's like, the problem is not so much about losing in a video game as much as it is just the situations as to how they happen. Like, when it's stupid situations, it pisses you off more than justifiable ones. Which that seems to happen to me in video games, where, like, I can't really think of one off at the top of my head, but, there's just examples like, I don't know, like, I'm sure you'll see them throughout this playthrough. I'll try to remember in the course of that, but that's just kind of the concept. I mean, really, I don't, we're going to save, and then we only have like another minute and a half left of this, so we're going to get to the next stage, but I'm not going to complete it in this episode. I know that that's kind of odd. Some, LPers don't like to end the video halfway through the stage, but it's going to be longer than 15 minutes if I continue, so you're just going to have to get on a cliffhanger, get yourself ready for it, get your cliff skills ready, because you're leaving on a cliffhanger here. But part 3 will be here soon enough, and then you'll see. But this is really too bad that YouTube is such a nightmare, because I'll tell you, I would be a lot more prominent and diligent about some of these playthroughs if like the base for YouTube, especially the gaming community, had more, etiquette. And this is kind of the concept, is just the website really becomes ugly sometimes. But it's alright. Let's keep it. So yeah, this is a race. I'll add that in within like the last 12 seconds, but this is a race, and you want to beat the high score in order to beat the bear here that's gonna show that off. Alright, subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night.